Call to order, Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, April 19th, 6 p.m. Roll call, it looks like we're just missing Kimmy this week. Does anyone want to make an approval of the agenda of this week?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Approval of the agenda. Let's go over the minutes. Were there any changes in the minutes from last time, or anyone would like to make approval?
I will move to approve.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Approval of the minutes has been made. New business, Ramsey County Tulu Courts presentation.
Great. Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Tonight we have Gus Blummer, from Ramsey County here to talk to us about the Tulu Courts that we have at Keller. And I thought it would be a great idea to have him come and speak to you about it because a lot of you are new Commission members that may not know a lot about it, and they have some proposed changes they might be looking into doing in the future. So he's here to talk to us about it. So with that, I will turn it over to you. And if we can have the computer, please.
Okay. Well, thank you, members of the Commission. Again, my name is Gus Blummer. I'm a landscape architect and a project manager with Ramsey County Parks and Recreation. And I was actually the project manager on the first go at the Tulu Courts at Keller Regional Park. What I'm about to show you is representative of discussions we've had with the community, in particular the Hmong community in Ramsey County. And so where's the project? If you're not familiar exactly where the Tulu Courts are, so this is part of Keller Regional Park here shown on this map. So we have highway, where's my mouse? There it is. Highway 61 is here in Frost Avenue, so the courts are right about in that area. So the background, in roughly 2016, 2015, we were talking with the community about trying to figure out how to build some Tulu Courts. We worked with the City of St. Paul and staff here at City of Maplewood, and we came up with this location at Keller Regional Park, and we got some funding from the What would happen is the shelters would get busy up the hill, and there was not enough parking to do big Tulu and do that. So that really helped, I think, help them increase the play and the number of tournaments and things that they're having. So.
In a typical year, how many major events or tournaments are being hosted at this facility?
Good question. I don't have the exact numbers on that because they don't always get a permit. They'll just show up. So I don't have a good count on that, fortunately. I can find that information and send it along too.
Gus? Go ahead. Oh, no, I had a question because we had talked before, and it was my understanding, talking with you with the shelter, because I know that was a bigger part of the cost, the shelter and the public restroom, that would be available to the general public as well, too. It wouldn't just be for tournaments. Is there
the restroom
more
for
thought
sure?
on that?
Yeah, the restroom for sure would be available. The shelter, because it is really associated more with activities within that field, probably wouldn't be just rented out to the public to have a picnic, for instance. I'm speculating a little bit on how our operations staff would do that. I don't think they've decided one way or the other, but we want to first have it available for Tulu, if that makes sense. We have a lot of other picnic shelters. This picnic shelter also wouldn't potentially have like cooking amenities and things that some of the other shelters that would be more desirable. So, did that answer your question? Okay.
So my question was the courts that you base this off of, did they have similar traffic, or is our facility having a lot more traffic than the one that you modeled off of?
Good question. I mean, they had enough traffic that they had the same issues that you saw with wearing of the turf. I don't have counts exactly for their facility, but that's a good question. We could certainly get that and compare. I know that somebody from the Milwaukee area, a consultant, contacted me last summer, and they were building Tulu courts there, or will be this year. So I think they were building 4 or 5 lanes there. And that same community seems to travel between all these facilities, and they have big family gatherings and Tulu tournaments. So.
I was just curious if there was, with the turf material selection, if there was like any warranty or any period of expected length of use before it should start breaking down.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have to do some more research on the exact product. We did have them play on 2 vastly different products. The one that was in the St. Paul facility had like a wood chip, or almost like a wood infill, which I didn't even realize existed, and a really short sort of piled turf. And then the facility that the county operates in Venice Heights, and that has a longer kind of turf length to it and like a rubber type infill. They actually preferred that better. I think the game played better on it. And also having them play, you could kind of see repetition, like the tops hitting, and if there was damage. They have to spin these tops. If you've ever seen Tulu play, they spin it, and it spins at a super high rate. And when we were doing testing for the original Tulu courts, we had them spin on like a whole bunch of different types of material. It burned holes in everything, except for this belting product. So that's how we ended up coming up with what to put down on the concrete to create the throw lanes. But it doesn't seem to impact the turf. The spinning doesn't, so like melt it or anything, because it's just crazy how, again, the RPMs that these little tops spin at. Thank you. Yeah.
So how long has the Colorado site had the turf? And what kind of turf did they use?
Yeah, good question. I think they've had it about 3 years, and actually they took turf that they were replacing out of one of their interior facilities, and they shook all the stuff out of it and brought it outside and cut it, sewed it all together, and then addressed it. So it's not, we're probably not going to do that. So they have an older turf that was already played on. But we can get like the pile height and the rubber infill product that they use to kind of weigh what that is. We don't have it dialed in enough to know exactly which, the turf product is. Cost is going to come into some of that too. So unfortunately, I can't answer some of the detailed questions. I know you'd asked about warranty too and longevity. I think in general, on a turf that's being played for soccer and stuff, they say, 12 to 18 years, depending on the product and pile. This is going to play differently, I think, because it's just different. You don't have people necessarily running over. A lot of it's walking. It's really the tops. So I'm hoping it'll last longer than that.
Is Ramsey County considering maybe another location, or is it sort of all in on this certain location?
We're really kind of all in on this. We already have them there. It's established. The community likes that park. And actually, we don't have a lot of big, flat, open spaces in the regional parks. A lot of them are really set up for natural resource management. You know, there are lakes. There's picnic shelter, kind of pastoral. So this site actually does work well when you compare it to some of the other facilities that the county operates.
I noticed the bathroom area was 800 and some thousand. Have you considered doing porta potties to bring in? I mean, is just to bring the cost down at the beginning if you're looking for cost right away, or that's not an option?
We wanted, yeah, we have, we have built restrooms really everywhere. We do supplement with porta potties. So we wanted to start, we got a professional cost estimate done also, so we really have a pretty good idea what it's going to cost. So I don't think we're going to be able to find, the total dollars that you saw here just to do one phase project. It'll have to be phased in over time. And we felt, again, championship level, porta potties, is that where we want to go? We'll probably start with that and supplement for big events, but the goal is to have a permanent restroom here. Yeah, and restrooms are expensive. It's really the utility costs. I think they cost more than the building by the time.
Well, I think even if you do a house bathroom, that's the most expensive remodel job of so yeah, that's where it goes.
So.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for all your information.
Thank you, and appreciate the time tonight.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right.
And I'm going to do a little adjusting before we get to the next item because the remote clicker went missing from a meeting earlier in the week. So I'm going to finagle the computer a little bit so I can still stay in my seat.
Hey, Audra, is there a way that we could turn these screens
Yeah, ours
on?
aren't on. Our screens.
screens are not?
No.
This screen is on, and that's the only one.
Oh. In the booth, could we have the commissioner's screens turned on? They say they can't see on their screens.
Oh, we can't figure out how to turn it on.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I don't know what.
The weird thing is, this screen is on.
They usually come, they turn them on, and before, off.
Yeah, thank you. If not, for my presentation, I did print out a hard copy for you on your desk as well, just in case, because last time the computer screen didn't work, so. He might not be able to, but if you can, he's trying, so we'll wait and see.
I don't see it either. Nobody has one.
All right, here you go, I have extras here.
The important people got one, gee, thanks.
You want to pass it down?
Yeah,
It's just a backup in case. All right. Well, let's move on. Yep. So it's just glitches. We just move on. That's all right. Okay. Well, Chair, members of the commission, as you requested, I had mentioned that we were in the process of evaluating the playground inspections that were done in 2022 to make recommendations toward what park facility, playground specific, would be updated for the 2023 process. And I just wanted to go over with you a little bit of how we get there. I kind of condensed it down because Cartograph, we can go down a wormhole and be in all of the rating, but we do have our facility management software called Cartograph, and that is how we rate them. But before I start there, I also wanted to tie in a little bit of the master plan, and you guys all have your new copies, but this is right from the executive summary in the Park Systems Master Plan. You know, back when we did this process, taking care of the existing system was the highest community priority at the time. That meant reinvesting in and upgrading parks and facilities. Essential is creation and implementation of an asset management plan that this will allow the city to anticipate and prioritize replacement of recreation facilities at the end of their functional life cycle. And the playground evaluations process is part of that. And I will let you know that we do have park maintenance staff that had to go to training. They have to take coursework, and it's a pretty demanding test they have to pass the test to be able to know how to do a playground inspection. And our staff went out, and every year annually, they go out and inspect the playgrounds that we have. And the results that you see on the right hand of the screen, those are the results from the inspection from 2022. And just for ease of understanding how I put them on the screen, the highest score would mean the best. And Gethsemane is an 100 because that was the playground that had the arson. And so a brand new playground just went in. So that one has the best, and then they kind of go down. And as you can see, the very last one as of 2022 was Sherwood with a 27.27 rating, and that is the playground that we are currently replacing. But now we're looking for 2023, like which playground, and just to give you some idea of what goes into that, I mean, they inspect the platforms, they inspect the slides, the swings, the surfacing material, every little bit is inspected, and it's also based on age of equipment, being able to replace parts, because some of these playgrounds are so old you can't get replacement parts. We have to kind of build them. So every playground, I just want to make you rest assured, was inspected. If it was unsafe, we would have immediately taken action to fix things, and we have. But the overall rating of the playground, just so we have something to go on, these are the results of that. And as you can see, Harvest and Hazelwood are at the bottom of the list, but while they're lower than Sunset Ridge, and Sunset Ridge has an upper and a lower area, but I just called it Sunset Ridge on the chart for simplicity. But because the playground at Harvest is tied to the master plan, and same with Hazelwood, they were part of overall big park improvement projects, so that's why they're where they're at, but they're still waiting for those projects like the Harvest Park Master Plan and the Hazelwood, because you have to pick the area where you're going to put the playground. It's not something you want to just plop into a big improvement project. That's what happened at Goodrich, and now we're going back and putting a parking lot in and trying to remedy it. So ideally, you want to just do the whole project and then, design it so it makes sense. And so after much thought, and we also consider service area of Maplewood, because Maplewood is so spread out and so many borders of, even if we replaced a playground here, where have we been doing it in another service area? When's the last time we replaced a playground? And this one actually worked out really well. For Sunset Ridge is the park that we've chosen, the playground we've chosen to replace. For a number of reasons, we haven't replaced a playground in that service area for quite a while. It has a great container, it just has all the wrong surface area, and the equipment is so old we can't get replacement parts for it anymore. That neighborhood has a lot of young families that have moved in now, so there are a lot more kids that can play there. And while the equipment is safe, it's very, let's say, minimalist. And I'm going to show you a picture. Let's see. I'll go over here. Come on. To change. I got to see if I get my slides to change. I'm really missing the clicker. But for some reason, the mouse does not want to work. And one sec, you can see there we go. All right, so as you can see, this is the container on Lower Sunset. Again, the upper area is more of a passive recreation area, and we would be looking at putting some amenities up there, maybe some swings or something, but not like a full-on playground up there, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to put that up on the upper area. But Lower Sunset has that great container that we could put a larger, more inclusive, appealing to more age ranges playground. And you can see that, the swing bay's there. There's some diggers and in the sand and that little bit of equipment, and that's really all that's there. So that is what we are looking to replace the playground there this year. And again, with ordering, playground equipment, we have to do the community process first. So it may be one again where we get to ordering the equipment, but they might put it in the following spring. It all depends. But we would be starting the community process very soon. And we would never put sand in again. We've decided no more sand, because it's, as everybody knows, it becomes a giant cat box or whatever. And weeds are so hard to take care of in these sand surface areas. So it would be the wood fiber. Just for cost, because we have in the CIP $130,000 for replacements of playgrounds like this, and so we can get a pretty nice playground for that money with the wood chips, and we would be doing away with the sand. And it's nice to have a container that really is in great shape and makes sense for the area that it's at. So we would just kind of fit, if you're familiar with Timber, the playground at Timber, a playground of that size and that looks similar to the playground at Timber would be something that we'd be looking to fit in a park of the size, because it is a neighborhood park. So I've been going on and on. If you have questions, any feedback or questions, I'm happy to stand for questions.
Can we be part of the neighborhood when they come to tell us what they want? Can we all join?
Yeah, absolutely. What we would be doing is sending out a letter to the neighbors, within the radius of the park, and then also putting it on social media and the website, but just inviting you to an open house and having them at the park. We'll put signs up in the park just saying open house to pick a date and have people come and look at some designs and kind of let us know what would they like to see in the park. Now, we always do guided open houses, because if you start with absolutely nothing and say, what do you want? The process just, staff has to give as much expertise as they feel like they can and offer options and then get feedback from the community and go from there. So yes, absolutely. And I'm hoping that we can do this process. I'm out of the country actually until May 9th after next week, but then I'll be back and just hopefully to get that open house even going as early as end of May or at the latest the first part of June. So it's an exciting thing, and I could wait till the end of the meeting, but I'll update you now that Sherwood, again, we were looking at delays and it wasn't going to get delivered till maybe late July, but I just spoke with Mike from Northland Recreation, and there was an opening in the schedule and he took it, so we are going to be scrambling to take the old playground down at Sherwood and get it ready because they're hoping to have that installed end of May. So we might get a whole summer out of the playground. So I'm excited. Just found that out yesterday. Brett earlier, so we can get the playground. It's already been ordered since last year, but to get on the install list was something, and they bumped us up. So Harvest and Hazelwood again, because they're part of a total park improvement. Like at Lower Sunset, we're just replacing the playground, but I did send the Harvest plan so you could see it in the packet, and as you can see, it's part of a whole project, so you don't want to just toss the playground somewhere because it's part of a plan. So that's why we chose Sunset, because it's something we can do. It makes sense. That service area is in need of an upgraded playground. The neighborhood and the demographics around the playground support it, and so that is the direction we're going, but I welcome feedback from the commission or any questions that you have.
Are you going to be addressing just the lower part or the upper part or both?
We would address the upper part, but we're not going to be putting a playground system up there, but what we're thinking of is putting some amenities, maybe like a nice swing or some other things that would fit into that more passive area up there but we'd be asking the neighbors. That's more of a tricky thing, is what do you want to see in that upper area as far as playground, because the equipment up there, we could replace it, but it's just kind of odd where we've got the two playgrounds so close like that. It makes more sense to focus on the lower that's easier access, and so that's the plan that we're going, the direction we're going in.
So when you poll the neighborhood, what is the distance that you utilize to get input from the neighborhood?
I always do extra. We want to do at least within, I would say 2 block for reference, just to make it easier, 2 block area surrounding the playground. But I always reach out a little further because, and especially a playground like this where it's kind of tucked in the neighborhood, but it pulls people from all over. So I always do extra mailing, and then, like I said, we'll put it on social media and on the website and make it an open house that anyone can come to and give feedback for. So anyway, and then we'll put signs in the park. So anyone who uses that park and wants to comment, they're welcome to come.
So when you do these neighborhood meetings, you do them at the park itself?
Yes, at the park.
Okay.
Yep.
And I know that we've asked this, but we anticipate that'll be done when this summer?
What do you mean, what done? The open house, or?
Yeah, when.
Yeah, I said when I get back, and so we're looking at toward the end of May doing the open house. The latest would be like the first week of June, but.
Okay.
It'd be
And we'll be notified when that takes place so we can be there. Okay,
Yep,
perfect.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's good because this playground is part of, like, a trail system goes through it, and so a lot of people from maybe not just the immediate neighborhood come there, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mailings are tough because, especially now, less people actually open the physical mail that you send, and it's expensive, but you still want to hit the core neighbors all around that area, but then getting the word out on social media and the website is always helpful, and announcing it at the meetings, and,
Yeah, because I only check my mail like once every 2 weeks.
right? Yeah.
I wonder if we put something on the trail, some kind of a sign or something.
Well, I had said we'll put signs in the
Sign.
park that
Okay.
when it is and invite people. And then if we offer treats, it seems to make people more excited to
I love
come.
ice cream.
Right? Ice cream, popsicles, something.
Yeah.
Just come have some ice cream and give your opinion on the park, so. Any other questions about that or how we rate the playgrounds or?
Can I ask, so is the feedback only being taken at the open house, or is it also taken online?
With this park, it's at the open house and then just putting the design out there, just because it is a neighborhood park. It's not like Harvest and Hazelwood, when they're community parks and they're the larger ones, it's a more robust community engagement process, but we kind of target the neighborhood to take ownership like of this park, because there's no parking lot there, and so it's just for the neighbors, that's where we tend to focus. But again, we put it out on our social media and the website so that people are free to comment.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because we just want people who have ownership and use the park to focus mostly on their feedback, because it's the one that's in their neighborhood. Any other questions? Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to put everything on one slide, and it's good. All right. On to picnic shelters, if I can have the computer again. So this is very early in the process for this, but we're talking about adding more picnic shelters to service areas in Maplewood, and then also what to do with tennis courts that have been removed, and it's hard to take an amenity out, and then what do you put in its place? So I wanted to show you a picture of one that has been removed, a tennis court where there's an opportunity to put a picnic shelter, one that's aging, and it actually looks better in the photo. They took a good photo, but it's actually in a little rough shape and not in the best area for the park. But this is another little bit from our park master plan that, in there they said overall at the time resident satisfaction with parks was relatively high. However, identified needs included improvements and upgrades to existing parks, continued emphasis on neighborhood parks and their amenities, including picnic facilities, playgrounds, natural areas, and trails and sidewalks. So we've always known that we needed more picnic shelters in Maplewood. And, as Gus had said, they have tons in the county, but the need for picnic shelters is we never have enough for people to reserve. There's always people scrambling, like, I need a place to have a family gathering. Our shelters, none of them had electricity or modern amenities. Wakefield were the only two right now currently that have electricity. The one at Goodrich, that's part of the improvements, will have electricity, but the others don't. So the Maplewood Heights one, that one is also located way back into the park near the senior living apartment building, but it's not near the parking lot, so it's kind of counterintuitive where it is. So people will rent that if it's a last chance picnic shelter, we don't have anything else, but they have to carry their stuff and trudge all the way through the park to get to it. It just doesn't make sense where it is, and it's old. And while I had, community development, the building inspector did go out to make sure it's still sound, it won't fall down. It has definitely seen better days, and so we have a need to not only replace some of the old picnic shelters, but add them to service areas in Maplewood. And one we're looking at, I just wanted to show you, I don't know if any of you have seen Playcrest, but the picture on the bottom left there, that is where the tennis court was that was taken out. And it's kind of like, what do we do with this area? There is a potential to maybe put a small soccer field there if we get the shelter. But like the playground and some of the other field area is farther away from this, but this is where the parking lot is, so on the bottom right. It might be hard to see, I apologize, but that is where the parking lot is for the park. So it's a very long, spread out park. So we're thinking that, if we look at putting a picnic shelter there, it takes care of what do we do with this flat area that, isn't useful right now. We could put a nice picnic shelter in with grills and things. It'd be right next to the playground, parking lot, so it'd be accessible. And then we could look at, since the other playground is way on the other side of the park, maybe putting some recreation features near this. And I'll be coming back to the commission to ask for ideas and thoughts, but I just wanted to get this in front of you, like what kind of things we could do. We need to reimagine this area where the tennis court was. Right now, we took out the other, the asphalt and all the things, and we did put fill in, and we could turn it into just turf, but I'm thinking we could do something better, and then it would provide a picnic shelter for people in this park, which is needed. And then one I don't have a picture of, Maple Crest, as some of you know, or maybe all of you, we took the tennis court out there, and that was a contested thing, but it was a tennis court that never should have been in that park. It wasn't on good soils, and it didn't make sense to replace it, and that one is out, and they restored the turf, but we're also looking at, we said if we'd add anything else to that park, it would be a small picnic shelter for the families in the neighborhood to be able to gather and sit while the kids are playing on the new playground that's there. And so we're also looking at putting one in Maple Crest. And then on the south end, Pleasant View still has one, but that one is also, seen better days. It's still okay, but it doesn't have electricity. So we're trying to slowly address the needs, because more and more people are out in our parks and wanting to enjoy them, but we just want to have the facilities that people have said they wanted. So that's kind of where we're at in the process, and I'd love to get feedback from commissioners on thoughts and ideas, and even if it's not at this meeting, just we'll be revisiting this in the future. We do have money in this CIP for replacing these shelters. There is an actual line item, and we also have some money in reinvestment in park facilities that we use for Goodrich Park improvements so that we can add a shelter. I would like to see us add one at Playcrest first. That would be the first place to address, like, what would that look like? How could we fix this? These pictures were taken 2 days ago, so that's what it currently looks like. And so what can we do to fix that for the neighbors and make it useful and something that they would appreciate in their park? So with that, I'll stand for questions.
So I know that tennis is kind of on the downswing, but pickleball is really on the upswing, and they're kind of, symbiotic. But so I'm a little concerned about, I know tennis courts are expensive and difficult to maintain here. Sure. They just break up all the time. But also pickleball addresses some needs too.
Sure.
So, I mean.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing from when we did the plan in 2015, where it was like, it's mentioned the tennis courts, hardly, and then now pickleball's had the resurgence, so that's why we have at Harvest, and no promises, but I am looking and seeing what we could do since we're waiting on the Harvest plan. That tennis court was going to be converted, as I'd mentioned before, to 6 pickleball courts. I mean, that it was not going to be a tennis court anymore, it's pickleball. So that's something we can look at doing now. We wouldn't have to wait for the plan necessarily, because that's already a structure that's there. It's not going to move whether there's a parking lot or out, we could still do that. And then, we replaced the courts at Vista Hills, and I know, and not to pick on Pleasant View, but then the neighbors in the Pleasant View area were like, well, why Vista and not us? And so the plan had been to take the Pleasant View courts out, but now we'll have to look at if they want to wait. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but if they want to spend probably by the time we get to it, upwards of $150,000 to take out that court, because it's beyond repair. Like, it has to be redone like Vista was. And then make that dedicated pickleball courts in the south end of town. That's something we absolutely could look for. And that's changed since we, first did the plan and asked people what they wanted. So yeah, trends have changed, and it's our job to keep up on those and, change with them if need be. So. But the Maple Crest court and the Playcrest one are already taken out. And Playcrest was actually locked up and closed for several years before we actually finally took it out. So that was, and Maple Crest 2 was one where you can't put it back. We did soil studies and the feasibility of putting it back, and that was just a no-brainer to take that one out. It never should have been put there. So we're not planning to take any more tennis courts out at this point, but as we mentioned at Four Seasons, people have had ideas of how to repurpose them, and so we're going to have those conversations and not just take them out like we had planned to. So,
just briefly stepping back to Pleasant View, in my walks through the park recently, I've had 4 different encounters where people asking me why we're not doing anything with the tennis courts up there and the imminent danger that they possess currently.
Yeah, and we'll probably, we can lock them up, and we were hoping to limp them along, but it would probably be locking them up. It's,
I think they are locked up.
yeah, it comes down to budget and money. We have all the things, and we have to prioritize, and I get it, but it was a decision between Vista or Pleasant View tennis courts because they were both in the same bad shape, and the choice was made for Vista. And I totally understand why the Pleasant View neighbors would be sad, but I hope they understand it's just a matter of servicing all the service areas of Maplewood and having a limited budget, and our projects were put on hold during COVID, and now we're catching up. So right now, we're in that process of catching up on not doing any for a couple of years, and this is where we're at. But we haven't forgotten about them.
I have a question about the Playcrest plan because there is a parking lot there, but it's super small.
Right.
So would we consider, if we put a picnic shelter there, like, would that be taken into consideration? Because parking is also kind of, it's kind of two busy streets
Yeah.
intersecting. So, yeah, I guess that's just a consideration, is parking there if we do like a big shelter or something. Like, where do people park?
Yeah, it would definitely be a picnic shelter on the smaller side,
Okay.
but then it would at least be something where someone could have a small family gathering, but it wouldn't be, because like you said, there isn't a ton of parking, and then it's two busy streets.
Yeah. Do you know approximate costs for picnic shelters, and if we're adding like electricity and things like that?
Yeah, and again, we wouldn't be doing super fancy ones, but we would want them to be a nice shelter that we can easily manage, and that would have accessible grills and the picnic tables. And like at Goodrich, our set budget for a picnic shelter is at $250,000, but we can do, and we could easily do that with that money, put in a nice shelter with a nice pad and the grills and the tables. So,
For 250, you said?
yeah. I mean, we're not looking at the really fancy ones with any kind of kitchenette or any kind of restroom. We'll still be using the satellites, but and the thing is, you don't want to build something too big there so that the neighbors all of a sudden have extra, congestion. So it's always balancing, and I'm open to, if you have other ideas that you think of for Playcrest, but it's like, it's an opportunity not just to turn it back to turf to mow, that we could put another amenity in that park, because so much of it is away from the parking lot. And it's I don't know how many of you have been there, but it's an interesting layout of the park.
How far is it from the busy streets if there were like little kids at the picnic area?
Oh, it's still away from the
Okay,
street, yeah.
okay,
It's
all right,
just,
cool.
but it is a small parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
What's the timeline looking for these picnic shelters?
Well, like I said, I'm hoping that if we could add a picnic shelter and get something ordered and come up with a concept for Playcrest, but again, we would want to engage the neighbors, and that all takes time, just to invite them and have some input. And for everyone who wants one, there'll be people who don't, but it's kind of a commitment we've made, and it was spelled out in our plan that people want more gathering places in these shelters, so we're committed to putting them in. And I'm hoping that with the new one at Goodrich and then adding one at Playcrest, it's just going to add more places for people to be able to book, because the phone rings off the hook for Wakefield. Only has 2 in the building, and it books up, and then we really don't have anything else, even with electricity. In Goodrich, once that's built, I'm sure that one will be super busy. So
So are you thinking when you get back as well in May for these?
yeah, setting up just kind of wanted to get a feel for if the commission was absolutely didn't like the idea or whatever, but it just wanted to keep you abreast of what we're thinking of doing.
I feel like I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, but.
If you think of something,
Yeah.
absolutely reach out. Yeah,
Okay.
just wanted to keep you up to date on what we're thinking with that.
Thank you, Audra.
Yeah.
Unfinished business, anything tonight? No? Visitor presentations?
I just want to follow up on
Sure.
something, just a question.
Yeah.
So based on the conversations we've had here this evening, my understanding is that at Sunset Ridge, we're going to be doing some investigation and start the process in
Yeah.
terms of a new
I mean,
playground.
that's the playground that we've decided makes sense based on the ratings, the
Right.
service area, everything, yeah.
And then Harvest, Hazelwood, and Sherwood will all be addressed this summer.
No, Harvest and Hazelwood will not. That's why I'm saying even though they had lower scores,
But
then.
I thought they're part of this the park master plan. Is that not?
No,
being
they're part of,
implemented?
oh, sorry, if I misspoke. They have their own plans, like the Harvest has its own park
Mm-hmm.
plan, and Hazelwood has not happened yet. The planning process, we did one at a time, but I'm just saying that's why the playgrounds haven't been replaced.
Okay, all right.
Just trying to explain why is Sunset Ridge higher on the replacement list when the other two have lower
Okay,
scores?
I just wanted to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yep.
No visitor presentation?
Nope.
Commissioner presentations?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, members of the commission. I had included in your packet some information as well as a community event list so that I hope you all can have it, put it on your fridge. And I sent it in the packet as well. But that is with not only events that Parks and Natural Resources are doing, but also public safety, just to give you an idea of what we've got on the books for this year. The egg hunt has come and gone and went well, and got to see Commissioner Millette there, and we had a great time at the egg
was
hunt. And
awesome again.
I don't know if any of you clicked on the link, but our communications team created a fun little video of the event too. They had their drones out there, and it went really well. But we have the list here, and if you have any questions on any of these, I can try to answer them. I can't answer all of the public safety ones, perhaps, but I did want to reach out with some volunteer opportunities because the commission had made it one of their goals to be more active at events, and we actually could use some people at the Arbor Day event on May 20th. And that event is from 9:30 to noon. It's actually going to be down by the City Hall parking lot because that is the day where the tree pickup is for people who ordered trees from the Tree Fest tree sale. And so we figure people who are into trees are already coming and picking up their tree, and so it makes sense to have the Arbor Day event happening down there at in the parking lot there. And Carol Gurnis, our Natural Resources Coordinator, gave me a little highlight of what we're going to have there. They're going to be they're going to be doing some maple syruping. They're going to have tree identification, a Wheel of Trees game. They're going to talk about tree disease prevention, talk about climate resilient trees for our area. They'll have a craft station, a selfie station. I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds fun. Talking about AMPACT, and our AMPACT member from Climate Corps, Danny, will be there as part of the program. She's been with us at the Nature Center the last couple months, and she's going to be talking about what they do and having some activities. And Friends of Maplewood Nature will be there to talk about their tree trek and just some other prizes and things. So they are looking for people to help at some of the tables. If you're interested, just email me and let me know if you could be part of that event. So they'll be picking up the trees, going up to Public Works, doing like they usually do, and then down at the bottom of the hill, we'll have the Arbor Day event. So she would be happy to have a few more people if you want to be part of it. Just let me know. And the spring cleanup is this weekend at Aldrich Arena. It's the big cleanup where you can drop off all your junk that you've had in your garage or your basement and your house, and you want to get rid of it. We don't need volunteers. We're set for that. But if you're a Maplewood resident, which you are, please come on down if you have anything you need to get rid of. It's a great way to clean out your stuff. And that is from 8 to 1 at Aldrich Arena this Saturday. And if you come, just honk at me. I'll be there somewhere, but I cannot see you. And then, just our Celebrate Summer events. So if any of these are something that you think you might be interested in, I'll talk about them as we go, as they come up. But I wanted to get you, I believe it was Commissioner Harris that wanted to have a schedule in hand of the events. So we also have public safeties on here. And you're welcome to, if you're interested in volunteering for some of those as well, let me know and I can put you in touch with Tony Gabriel, who's their community outreach officer, and we'd love to have the help. We are doing the Touch a Truck event on the 14th, and that's the one that usually the commission has a booth and you man it, so I'm hoping as many of you could make it to work that event, and we'll have, that is June 14th, it's a Wednesday. We try to avoid cabin days, so we do it in the middle of the week, but if you can be there to man the booth, we have, you can hand out construction hats and things, talk to the public, do their giveaways, and we'll have information on things in the parks that day, so. Just wanted to share that, and I told you the good news about Sherwood, and so that's all I have.
Are we have any events at like Wakefield or anything this year in the summer? We've had some fun things, or
We haven't planned set events just because the park is so busy and used by the public anyway, so we just haven't it's hard because the parking lot is there, but it's limited, so we've tried to hit some of the other parks where we've got more space to, so not a set event at
not a
Wakefield.
set, nothing set yet? Okay. Or anything at the Red Barn, like movies or anything this summer? Or?
With the barn, and I can get their list of events. The Historical Society, they've kind of just been
Doing
doing
their
so
own?
many of their own things, and they've really been focused
Okay.
on some of their events. But I'm happy to share them. TJ is wonderful to work with, and he'd probably love to have me bring some of the things that they're doing. So I can definitely.
I'm actually the secretary on the board of directors for the
Sure.
Maplewood Historical Society, and we have a huge summer coming up. So yeah, we can definitely get a list of
Would
everything
you,
that's
Jay-
going on.
Yeah, would you want to do like a commissioner presentation just on what's going on at the farm, just to share with us at the next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I will put you down.
Whatever happened to Mort?
To who?
Mort, the puppet mobile and Mort.
Oh, the puppet, yeah, the wagon.
Oh, that was the
The
greatest.
wagon outlived its useful life.
And the kids
And
would
so-
write their letter to Mort, and then the
Yeah.
next show he'd bring a letter back. It was the
That's
greatest.
how long I've been here. I
It was
used
the
to schedule the
greatest.
staff for the puppet wagon.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
My kids still talk about that. All right.
With that, that's all I have for tonight.
Staff presentation.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Approved.
All in favor?
Second, there we go.
One of those, we'll get it right, one of these.
So if you're gone, or is
Meeting's
there no
adjourned?
meeting then?